Mr. Fender was my mentor, and I had been working in the rock and roll business and gotten to be, I'd say, top in my field. I owned a sound company, and I was doing shows for all those people that were hits during the time. But I wanted to work with him before he died, and I called Tom Walker to see if I could sweep the floors or something, and he said, "Oh, come on down, and we'll find something for you to do." Well, I built all the original Music Man amplifiers, but in the first meeting with Leo, I was telling him about transistors. Now, he didn't know a lot about them, and I was pretty well versed on them. So I was trying to teach him about it, and he would say, "I don't know, and I don't understand a lot." And I thought, this is the smartest guy I've ever met in this field, and yet he wasn't afraid to say, "I don't know," or "I don't understand." So I, from then on, never pretended like I knew everything, and I'd just stop right then. If I didn't know something, I'd just ask somebody, and it never ever played bad. You know, it really went over better than I thought. People don't ask that because they think someone's going to think them an idiot, but they think you're an idiot for not asking, really. So I learned that right away from him, first thing. I can tell you how he was as a person. He was intensely curious guy, and he was very pragmatic, and he even studied the human body because he was a 4F in World War II, and so he wanted to make himself live longer, so he studied nutrition, that sort of thing, and he had everybody at the plant eating carrots, and everyone turned, well, everyone meaning, you know, all the guys in the, you know, in the central office and stuff, and they turned orange, and so that was a story, and about his, if you went to lunch with him, you know, he might do something like go look, he was looking at a Chrysler, and Tom Walker went to lunch with him, and Tom's a salesman, so he's dressed in nice clothes, and Leo always wore kind of green work pants and a leather belt with a set of pliers, a screwdriver on the side, and pocket protector. And he had one eye that went kind of off to a side, and he had the other eye that went off this side, and both of them could see you. And the trick was you never knew which to look at when you're talking to him. So you kind of pick one and go with that, you know. And Walker goes to lunch with him, and they stopped at the Chrysler place to look at the new Chrysler. This is like 58. And it had push-button gear shift. And so he wanted to know how that worked on the transmission. So he climbed under the car, and he's under there, and he goes, "Hey, Tom, come down here and look at this." And Tom says, "Well, I don't really, you know, I'm not dressed." "What's the matter? Don't you care?" And, well, this is the boss. And he went, "Yes, sir." And he crawled in this new expensive suit under this greasy car. It's in a showroom, but they're under there looking at the way that the push buttons would make the shifter work. So it's that kind of guy. He just never leave without a question. And he was, at one place, somebody said, he said, "Could I look at that?" And the guy was one of them secretive kind of guys. And he said, "Oh, no, well, I would, but I don't have a screwdriver." He says, "That's okay, I do." And he pushed the guy out of the way, and he had the lid off before you could stop him. And an interesting story about people who are trying to make it in business, and they think, well, these guys who made it, it's easy for them. Well, it's not easy. Here's an example. Leo started building guitar amps at the behest of Alvino Ray and some other people. And guitar amps were made originally, or amplified guitars, like Alvino Ray, I think the first guy I met, and he claims to have invented the pickup for a guitar, and they did it so that you could hear the guitar over the horns. Because in the 30s and 40s, the horns were the big deal. Well, you can't. Have you ever tried to talk over a horn? I mean, they're pretty darn loud. They don't need any help. But even today, though, they're now amplifying horns to keep up with the guitars. But so he started making these amplifiers, and Tom Randall owned a parts company that supplied him with resistors and so forth, and so Leo started becoming a big hit, you know, making amplifiers, but he didn't have any money to grow with, so Randall gave him credit. Well, he got so in deep with Randall that and those are Randall amplifiers, and Tom Walker worked there too. Well, Randall started calling the shots because he's a strong personality and a real likable guy, but is a real hardcore businessman. And Leo wasn't that kind of guy, and so that was a real mismatch as far as personalities go. So Leo used to get so upset that on his way home he'd pull the car over and throw up. And he cared that much about the situation that his business was growing, and he didn't understand the DuPont financial model where you can outgrow your cash flow, and that can cause you to go broke. So that's where he was at. And then Randall, being a smart, astute guy, he swooped in at the right time, and so he got all the marketing rights, and Leo just wanted to engineer. So they actually had to build two different areas so that Leo could do his engineering and set up the production, and Randall could do the marketing and sales.